Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for an informative and exciting Global Cruise Line webinar with Holland America Line. My name is Johanna de Guzman. I'm the Manager of Industry Relations for North American Travel Trade Membership here at CLIA, and I'm just going to quickly go through some housekeeping before introducing our presenters. The webinar will run for about 40 to 45 minutes with time for questions at the end. Please feel free to type your questions into the questions module of the webinar, and we will get to them at the conclusion of the presentation. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted on CLIA's YouTube channel, CLIA Global. It is my pleasure to introduce our presenters, Rob Coleman and Kristen Viotto. Since joining Holland America's Line sales team in 1999, Rob has held progressive positions in all disciplines of the HAL sales organization. From a grassroots start in inside sales to his leadership in building the company's large portfolio of full ship charters, Rob has made an impact in each of his roles. Appointed Vice President of North American Sales in March 2023, he returns to his passion of forging strong and thriving trade partnerships. Outside of work, Rob enjoys traveling the world with his husband, Sean, but also relishes time at his home with his family in Atlanta. Joining Rob today is Kristen, Business Development Manager based in Texas. Kristen brings great knowledge of Grand Voyages, sailing for 13 years, and has experienced 135 countries. And with that, take it away, Rob and Kristen.
Thank you so much. We are so pleased to be able to speak with our advisor friends through this CLIA webinar. And we titled this presentation, The Season of Gratitude, because we are truly grateful for the work of the travel advisors who work day in and day out to bring new and repeat guests to Holland America Line. We call that our attitude of gratitude. And over the past couple of years, we've infused attitude of gratitude in all of our trade work. So we want to make sure that we start off by saying thank you from the bottom of our hearts to our trade partners and advisors who make us so successful. We couldn't do this without you. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Kristen Viotto, who is our Business Development Manager for South Central United States. Kristen, are you with me? Well, we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. Kristen was not able to connect through the system, so I'm just going to continue going and offer our presentation. And if Kristen can get in, we will move forward with her participating with me. Today, I was hoping to share with you both some of the fundamentals of Holland America Line, as well as some of the new programs we are offering and the new approaches we are taking to our premium cruise brand. To start, I want to make sure everyone is clear on what we consider the pillars of our experience. We are a premium cruise line, and we believe we are exceptional for those who wish to explore, those who focus on culinary excellence, music lovers, people who are seeking a special touch when it comes to service, and those that enjoy a spacious but medium-sized ship. Those are things that Holland America Line excels at in 2023. And I will break each of these down for you as we go forward. First of all, our cuisine. Holland America Line offers an exceptional culinary experience on each of its ships. Most notably, we have main dining room experiences, but also specialty restaurants, whether it's our Cameron, our Pinnacle Grill, or even our casual dining in our Lido Marketplace. But over the last couple of weeks, we've made an announcement. Holland America Line has announced a new global fish program. We're really excited about this. And we're partnering with Iron Chef Morimoto, who is curating a special menu for us that is focused on fresh fish. Now, it isn't unusual for a cruise line to partner with a noted chef to help them craft their dining experience on their ships. But what is really special about our global fresh fish program is that we are rolling out across the globe. in what we call a port-to-plate experience. When guests sail on Holland America Line, they will be able to take advantage of local, regional fresh fish, no matter whether they are in Alaska, Canada, New England, the Caribbean, Australia, New Zealand, or over in Europe. We are endeavoring and have a program in place where we will be able to bring fresh fish onto our ships from over 60 locations that we call as ports of call. So when you look at this map and see all the different varieties of fresh fish that we are going to be able to bring directly to the plates of our guests, it's truly a unique and exciting program. It's not just the food on Holland America Line that we feel sets us apart. Oh, Kristen, are you able to join me?
I am. Oh my gosh. I'm so incredible.
Oh no, we just had her and just lost her again, I think.
Okay, I'm just going to keep going. No worries. On Holland America Line, we decided that one of the best ways that we could entertain people in the evening was to focus on music. Not with just one band or one genre of music. We have looked at an entire spectrum of musical experiences that we call Music Walk. And through Music Walk, we are able to offer our guests classical music, B.B. King's Blues Club, Billboard on Board, which is a piano experience that for our guests, and the Rolling Stone Rock Room. By partnering with these marquee named industry leaders, we've been able to bring an experience for our guests on every Holland America Line ship for an evening experience where it's not just one performance by one of these each evening. We have them all going in different venues, and we stagger the timing so that our guests can sit and enjoy an entire evening in the Rolling Stone Rock Room, or they can move on to Billboard and have a piano bar experience, or go over to the B.B. King's Blues Club and experience that large and lively band in that arena. So really, it's not just one, it's all of them. And we consider that, we call that Music Walk. It's really transformed for our guests the ambiance on Holland America Line in the evenings, because in addition to Music Walk, we still have our customary main stage entertainment. So we haven't done away with that. We've just augmented the evening with Music Walk. And for those who have sailed with Holland America Line, we are renowned for our service. Our Filipino and Indonesian service crew take the time to make sure that our guests feel like they are truly special, and that with their intuitive and their warm approach to service, it's like when you step onto a Holland America Line ship, you're coming home. And we want to make sure.
There, Rob.
Say that. Are you here, Kristen?
I think I am. I'm so sorry. I think I finally got it stuck.
No worries. Kristen, I was just talking about our service. Do you want to jump in and talk about and share with me?
Yeah, I just wanted to just jump in really here, because as a crew member on board Holland for 13 years, I can tell you that not only do we have the best team sailing the high seas, but the Holland America really puts the time, the effort, and the backing and support into each and every one of our team members. It really is an art form on how they perform their service every day to each and every one of our guests. And it's one of the reasons that people keep on coming back to see us and experience their vacations with us.
Thanks, Kristen. You know, one thing I don't think people realize is our approach to training and sourcing our crew is unique with our dedicated training centers in Jakarta and Manila. It really does stand apart in the industry, where we go right to the local environments to train and onboard our staff. I think that approach really does make for a cohesive and special experience for both the crew and the guests on our ships. When it comes to activities, Kristen, what is your favorite activity on board Holland America?
Oh gosh, there are so many, but to be honest, I love the lectures. Those are my absolute favorite. I love the EXC talks that go in depth into all different types of contexts and perspectives from the days, from the destinations that we're visiting. If it comes to actual physical activity, I love the pickleball courts. I love that we really focused in on that activity on our ships.
Well, we are very excited to have really leaned into pickleball on Holland America. Every one of our ships has dedicated pickleball courts, and we are the official cruise line of the Professional Pickleball Association. In fact, Kristen, I think you said you're going to be attending a Professional Pickleball Association event in the next couple of weeks.
Yes, we have in Dallas, Texas, from Sunday the 5th until November 12th, the National Pickleball Championship Tournament happening in Brookhaven in North Dallas. So if any of y'all are around that area, we will be setting up shop there. So definitely come and see us and play some pickleball with us at the courts.
One of the things that I love about our pickleball program is for those that want to just bring their own equipment and play, they certainly can schedule time and get out on the court. But we also have a expert on board for those that want to try pickleball for the first time, and we offer some clinics for them to learn the basics of pickleball. So it really is, I think it's a phenomenon in the US, and probably in other parts of the world, that doesn't seem to be slowing down. It only picks up steam. So I'm glad that we have decided to make this available for guests. So, Kristen, when you think about our ships and the way we have built them and their size, what do you really think makes them unique?
You know, the first thing that comes to my mind always is Goldilocks. It's in that Goldilocks era that is not too big, it's not too small, it's just right.
I love that.
Love that we have the wraparound teak decks, that we open up our bow, that there are spaces that you can go and enjoy yourself, whether you want to be with people or you want to have some quiet corners to yourself. So you're going to see that you're going to have every opportunity to explore the ship. And, you know, especially when you want togetherness and family, one thing that I love is that you can be able to know that your friends and family are within a short walking distance and not a few football fields away.
Absolutely, that's a great point. I think for me, our ships were designed to really let people connect with both the ocean as well as the destinations we go. They look like ocean liners. They look like they were meant to carry guests. They have wide open spaces, so we haven't added all types of activities that take up the deck space. It really is there for guests who want to get out and do scenic viewing and explore the world from the deck of a ship. And that is something that I think is one of the classic components of Holland America Line that I personally enjoy the most.
What was your first ship, Rob, that you ever went on?
My first ship was SS Rotterdam in 1975. And since then, I've watched the introduction as a team member of Rotterdam 6 after that, and now Rotterdam 7. So I'm a long-standing Holland America Line guest that had the privilege to join the company and make a career also. So it still gives me a thrill every time I walk that gangway and step onto our ship. Kristen, we're going to shift gears right now. We're going to talk a little bit about who the Holland America Line guest is. And this is something that people ask us about often. And the first thing they want to know usually revolves around what's our average age or what's our demographic. I really think that those are pretty narrow ways when I look at the fairly broad spectrum of guests that choose to sail with Holland America Line. And so if we think about the different categories that we often see our guests coming from, do you want to share a couple of those and what they're looking for when they come aboard?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny that you say that because that's one of the things that we always hear. It's Holland America is a certain guest, but it's not really. It's a pretty much a mindset. It's people who want great value. They want to reconnect. Um, they want to be able to have that modern vacation experience, but but relaxed, and someone else takes care of the details. And that is a whole range of different age groups and demographics, but so that we really do come back to that mindset. And a lot of times we do get retired couples, empty nest couples, and 40-something couples that you see right here. And then they bring their friends and family on board, and they find that they love this relaxed and classic cruising atmosphere with that. But it also comes down to, it's a great value for the money. It's what you're getting, the service level, the food quality, and the destinations that we can bring you to. It all comes down into that key circle that you're going to be finding.
Very true. And I'll just be really clear. We're often asked if we're trying to attract a younger demographic. And I actually don't think we are. What we have done well is attract relaxing silvers. They have the time, they have the resources, they've had the life experience, and their persona really matches well with Holland America Line. So if anything, I'd love to work with our trade partners and advisors to find even more relaxing silvers that would love to sail on Holland America Line.
I will say though, too, Rob, with the Alaska especially, it's a great way for those multi-generationals, grandparents, parents, and kids to experience a great cruise vacation together. And we do have a really great kids program also in Alaska, especially on our larger ships.
So true, so true. We're going to start moving into talking about some of our destinations, Kristen, and I thought we could start by just giving an overview of how we think about our deployment each year and where we sail. And, over time, something that we've really focused in on is leveraging our North America home ports of call, whether it's Vancouver and Seattle up in the Northwest, San Diego out of California. Fort Lauderdale is our only port out of South Florida that we sail, as well as Boston. And it's pretty amazing what we've done over the last few years, which we're going to go into detail when we talk about some of our specific sailings, because we've really seen an uptick in guests that would like to avoid the hassles of international travel, be able to embark in one of these North America ports of call and sail round trip. Sometimes it's for our Grand World voyage, and sometimes it's for something of shorter duration. But really, this strategy has proved to be very effective, and it's one that I hope our travel advisor partners will take note of as we continue going forward. And I often like to say, when people say, where does Holland America Line sail? The question is, where don't we sail? So if there's one destination that is the quintessential Holland America Line experience, Kristen, where would you say it is?
Oh gosh, it's such a hard thing, because I've experienced so much of the world with Holland, but I think the quintessential is definitely going to be Alaska. I mean, that's what a lot of people think about for Holland America, because we are Alaska.
Going into I guess we just completed our 76th year of taking travelers up to the Great Land, and we are so excited that we recently released our 2025 Alaska program. Cruises are open for sale, and cruise tour bookings can be made just around the corner. I think within the next couple of weeks, we're going to have our full cruise tour program for 2025 ready also. People dream of Alaska as one of their bucket list locations. One thing I always love is when I hear that people chose Alaska because of their bucket list, but then it became a return destination. There's so much of Alaska to see that it really does, you really can't do it justice in one trip. But if any cruise line or any tour company is going to give a great shot at making sure people see as much of Alaska as possible on their perhaps only trip up there, we do it great. So let's talk about some of the reasons that people choose Alaska. Kristen, if there's one thing you can think of that people often associate with Alaska and they want to see, what would that be?
You know, most of the time it's either one or two things. It's either the wildlife or the glaciers. And people that are taking a cruise to Alaska, you know, I think it's number one is the glaciers. They want to see those ice age relics.
You know, those are the number 1 and 2 reasons to see Alaska. And with Holland America, we have more permits into Glacier Bay than any other cruise line. And that is, as a U.S. national park, that is a never to be forgotten day, sailing in with a park ranger narrating. It really is something we do exceptionally well to get guests as close to Alaska's majestic glaciers as possible. And the other one you mentioned is wildlife. And when we get guests up into the interior of Alaska, we really go the extra mile to make sure that they have the best opportunity to experience wildlife. Going into Denali National Park, maybe you know, Kristen, there are a couple ways you can do it, and some offer you a better viewing experience than others. Isn't that right?
Yes, so with Denali National Park, we include the Tundra Wilderness Tour, and the Tundra Wilderness Tour actually takes you all the way as far as we can go on the only road in Denali National Park. I know when I was there last year, we saw 4 out of the big 5. So that is the grizzly, that is the Adall sheep, the reindeer, the moose, and the wolf. And the only one that we didn't see was the wolf, but they're a pretty rare sight in truth for that.
Yeah, and that brings me to a great point. We believe it is important that guests have plenty of time on land. And we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the specific routings and itineraries that we have. But we do believe more time on land is important. And I'll be really clear, more time in and around Denali and Denali National Park is something that guests always ask, think they could have used more. So that is something that makes choosing Holland America Line to Alaska a key reason. We also weave in different ways to bring Alaska close up as to the guests, getting them the true essence of being in Alaska. And then, of course, fresh local seafood. I touched on it, and it is where we started our Fresh Fish initiative, but we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about making sure that those that sail on Holland America Line have access and can experience the fresh local seafood. Here's a question that we get asked frequently, Kristen. When is the best time to visit Alaska? And that is just, it's a hard question, because I think they'd always love us to say, pick the second week of July. You'll see it all and the weather will be perfect. And that's just not how it works, is it?
It's not, but it's always about what it is that you truly want to see. Do you want to see the midnight sun? Are you really looking forward to seeing salmon running? It's all different options, but there's never a bad time to visit Alaska.
That is so true. As we start our sailings in the beginning of May and we continue right to the beginning of October, there are features and reasons to sail in every one of those months as the season, as you move through the season. So we do have this great graphic that will help advisors give their guests the very components of the Alaska experience they want. Like you said, whether it is seeing the salmon run in Ketchikan, or if they really want to see the Northern Lights, This will help an advisor figure out when the best time is. And you know, when it comes to weather, I've had warm upper 80s days in early May, and I have had 50-degree drizzly days in July. So you really shouldn't go to Alaska counting on a particular temperature or what the weather may be. Bring layers, prepare for it all, and I guarantee you'll be surprised one way or another. So let's go a little more in depth on a couple of these areas. One of the things that I love, and I gave a nod to this, is the way that we make sure that every guest feels like they had an in-depth experience in Alaska. So Kristen, what are some of the programs that we have in place that will make sure that our guests feel like not only did they see Alaska, but they experienced it?
Absolutely. So one of the most items that we have that the guests love is our onboard naturalist. So he actually or she will be doing bird watching or whale watching and be able to really point out the different wildlife species that we'll be seeing along the way. And I think I mentioned this earlier, but one of my favorite things is the EXC Talks with Our Native Voices. Our partnership with the Huna and the Tlingit tribe members gives such a perspective and a different way of viewing the Great Land than what we would have without them. And you're going to see some information on the Iditarod, on bush pilots, on the whales with us. So it really is going to be a great opportunity to further get more in-depth information on Alaska.
Those are great points, and certainly just incredible ways that we bring enrichment to our guests on board the ship. We also have another way for guests to really experience Alaska, and that is the Taste of Alaska. And you know, we leaned in first for fresh fish and fresh sustainable seafood in Alaska. In fact, we are the first and only cruise line that serves completely certified sustainable Alaska seafood. That is such a amazing program, and one that I'm very proud of. Making sure that we are leaving Alaska and its wildlife intact, but also offering the taste of Alaska to our guests. Kristen, any other the other things that we do to bring the taste of Alaska you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, you can eat salmon every single day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner here. And it is, I mean, it will spoil you for salmon the rest of for any other day of the year. One of the things that I really enjoy, and it was really, I was so excited when we brought this out, was the glacier ice drinks, like actual ice cubes that are
how cool is that?
years old. I mean, you're drinking the ice age in this instance.
That certainly, it's really nifty. I love that. I love that. And it's not just about what we do on the ship, but it really is the only way to see Alaska is to get off the ship and get out and explore. And our shore excursions are just so perfectly crafted to allow our guests to see, experience, and actually get active and participate in the best that Alaska offers. You know, whether it is an experience in one of the fjords, out on a kayak expedition, or a helicopter ride to land on a glacier and actually stand there, or one of my favorites is taking the White Pass and Yukon Railway in Skagway and following the trail of the gold rush of 1898. That story of how the claims people came up through that area looking for gold claims and everything they had to do to get into the Yukon Territory. Kristen, I think it's one of the best stories we tell to those that go up into Alaska and the Yukon.
Yeah, you know, about 30,000 people went up into the Yukon. I think less than 1,000 actually came back saying that they made anything with gold with that. So their story, the journey, the challenges that they had to go through. It is an adventure in itself just to hear what went on in that part of the world during that time.
Yeah, it's just one of the great ways that we bring the history of the region alive for those that sail with us. So there are two ways that we take our guests up to Alaska, and we are certainly proud to offer an entire season of Alaska cruises from 7 to 28 days in length. But when it comes down to it, what's the best way to see all of Alaska, Kristen?
Oh, it's definitely a cruise tour.
Absolutely, absolutely, a cruise tour, combining the best of the experience at sea with our expertise on land. So this is the way that we help guests get all the way up to see the wonders that Alaska has to offer. I mean, when you think about the size of our 49th state, you really can't see much of Alaska by cruise. If you only have a week and you'd love to sail up to Alaska, we have that opportunity. But if you want to get to see the real in-depth Alaska, it is all about the cruise tour. And we're going to talk about the Yukon too, because by political division, it is part of Canada. It is actually just one piece of a fairly unified wilderness between Alaska and the Yukon. So let's dig into those two different experiences for a minute. When it comes to wildlife, if you want to see whale, if you want to see sea otters and eagles and seals, you definitely want to have that off. You can experience that off of a ship. But what's the only way you can see grizzly bear and gray wolf and Dall sheep and moose, Kristen? How do they need to do that?
You have to get up to Denali for this one.
You do. You have to get all the way up to Denali and into the interior. So first, let's give a quick run through of our 7-day sailings to Alaska. We do this in 3 different varieties. We have 7-day sailings on Saturdays and Sundays from Seattle, and those sail up into Alaska and are round trip. And then we have the 7-day Glacier Discovery. Those are northbound or southbound departures on Sunday, and they have usually 2 full glacier experiences, both Glacier Bay and either Hubbard or Glacier and College Fjord. And those are often combined with a cruise tour, or you can do these just as a standalone cruise. And then we have our very popular 7-day round trip inside passage sailings that are round trip Vancouver. And we do those on throughout the season on Saturdays and Wednesdays, but we also have at the beginning and the end of the season some Sunday departures. We also have a few fairly unique sailings that I think we want to talk about. We have our 14-day Great Alaska Explorer, which is round trip Vancouver over 14 days. And then a cruise that's sold out in record time is our Arctic Circle Solstice. So this one will take guests all the way up above the Arctic Circle, above Nome, at the time of the summer solstice, which is, June 21st, 22nd time frame. It is round trip Seattle, and we're operating this for the first time in 2024, and it's sold out in record time. I think in 4 to 6 weeks, when we announced this earlier this year, it completely sold out for 2024.
It was crazy. It was so well received, and I saw this and I was like, maybe I should go back to ships.
I know, and I love the fact that not only does it get people above the Arctic Circle, but they're going to get to go above the Arctic Circle on the summer solstice. That's such an incredible experience.
Yeah, 24-hour daylight for there.
It really is. All kinds of glacier viewing, Glacier Bay National Park, sailing up into Tracy Arm, which is an incredible glacier viewing experience up a fjord, as well as Hubbard Glacier in Prince William Sound. This really is the epitome of seeing all of Alaska if you're going to do it from the rail of a ship.
And I just want to do a quick shout out also to Kodiak Island. Those brown bear safaris that they have with the Kodiak brown bears are spectacular.
That's a great point. So now we're going to dig a little bit more into the land experience in Alaska. It really is all about national parks. And there are 3 major U.S. national parks that are inland in Alaska, plus also the Kenai Fjords National Park. So that brings us to a total of 4. And we do our best to make sure our guests get to experience all of the wonders of the U.S. National Park System in Alaska. People often ask, what is the best cruise tour for guests to take up to Alaska? And something that we believe is you should spend at least 2 nights at Denali. So we call these double Denali. So this is tour D6, and you can do land first, then the cruise, or the cruise and then the land. You can go either direction, but it has that almost 3-day experience in the Denali region. As I say, Kristen, people always wish that they had more time in Denali. So our direct to Denali really does get people either, on a northbound, right off the ship and right to Denali. I think it's one of the greatest modifications we made over the last couple of years, which is getting people right off the ship and into Denali.
Absolutely, Rob. So with Denali National Park, one of those days is a complete and full day on the Tundra Wilderness Tour in Denali National Park with our National Park Service partnership. And then a lot of times people are like, oh gosh, I just wish I could have had that extra day, maybe to do something on my own, maybe do it and I did a rod kennel, or maybe even fly up past the Arctic Circle and meet some of the men and women that live off the grid up there. So I always try to suggest the triple Denali if your clients have that extra day, so that they can be able to do their own another experience as well. Because, like you said, it's always the thing that I hear most. I wish I had more time.
Those double Denali and triple Denali are definitely the way if you want to experience the most wilderness and the most wildlife in Alaska. And as we were talking earlier, we are proud to be the only cruise tour operator to take guests not only to Alaska, but into the Yukon also. And some of the most majestic and amazing scenery and wildlife experiences I've ever had have been in the Yukon. So our guests can do this in several different ways. Getting into the Yukon can be done by doing a 3-day sail north and then departing in Skagway and going up over the White Pass. Or we actually have a way to do the entire 7-day cruise, go all the way up to Whittier, and then circle back through Dawson City and Whitehorse. So there are so many ways to get into the Yukon. I just find the Yukon is really an underappreciated region up there, Kristen. We all want to put so much focus on it because it's just one of the most incredible regions of the world.
Exactly. I mean, it's bigger than the size of California, and I think there was something like 45,000 people that live in the entire province for that. I kind of call these, the one and done. If your client is looking just to try to see everything at once, doing a Yukon cruise tour, you'll get those days at sea, the Denali, as well as the Yukon. And I always get the question about the flights, Rob. Like, what do we use puddle jumpers for those flights in the Yukon? And we do not. So we actually will utilize nice big planes and charter flights that actually will take you from Fairbanks to Dawson City. It used to be a 2-day trip on the bus, and now it's a quick an hour or two on the flight.
That is a great point. There is nothing scary about traveling into the Yukon or Alaska. We make sure that our guests have, an exceptional experience, and they shouldn't have any fears that they're going to be put on anything that is a puddle jumper or anything like that. Great point. Great point. I think our time on Alaska is coming to a close. Now we're going to talk about an area that, for me personally, is near and dear. I love our Europe program, and I love the fact that we have such a rich European history to our brand. It's where we started as a company, and we return every year to offer an entire season of cruises, and 2025 will be no exception. And there are a couple things that Holland America does exceptionally well. I've already talked a bit about our perfectly sized ships and how we want to make sure that it is an experience where people get the local flavor. But it's the way we craft our itineraries, for me, that really does point out the Holland America Line difference in this region. Whether it's the way we curate the voyages to offer unique and unseen locations, or the way we choose to stay longer in port so that guests have more time ashore. It really is incredible. Not to mention that we make it possible for the Holland America Line guests visiting Europe to visit more than 100 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. And when you look at this incredible map and all the different cultural and historic sites that we bring that have been designated by UNESCO, we really are making sure that that our guests see the best that Europe has to offer. Kristen, do you have a particular favorite region of Europe that you love?
Oh gosh, you put me on the spot with this one, Rob. Probably my favorite is the Mediterranean voyages, because I love the fact that we go to some of the highlighted parts. We go to Rome, we go to Florence, we go to Monte Carlo, but we also go to places like what you see here, actually, Valletta in Malta, one of the most unheard of ports for a lot of Americans. Taormina, you're at the foot of Mount Etna at a Greco-Roman site that has the best, literally the best cannoli I have ever had in my entire life. So I love the fact that, like you said, we curate very carefully highlighted ports of call that everybody knows, but maybe some maybe in Albania or Croatia or Sardinia or Corsica that you may never have known, but it becomes people's favorites.
I love the fact that you brought up Valletta, because it is one of the locations that when I sailed in, my breath was taken away. And then when I actually went, first of all, because of the walled city, it's like, right out of reading The Count of Monte Cristo or something, a book that you could just imagine, and the beautiful stone walled city. And then to go in and learn about the rich history of the Crusades that was, during the 12th to the 15th century, Malta was the midway point for the Crusades, and just such an incredible learning. I mean, I learned so much on my Holland America Line cruise by stopping in Malta and Valletta. So I'm glad you mentioned it. I also, we wanted to make sure we highlighted how we can share the British Isles with guests that are interested, making sure that they have the chance to see the best of Scotland, Ireland, and England on this incredible sailing round trip from Rotterdam, on both Rotterdam and or on New Stockholm round trip from Rotterdam. It's really a great
itinerary. And this particular one, Rob, is really unique because it's actually going to be in Edinburgh in August during the military tattoo. So you have an overnight in Edinburgh. You'll get to go to the military tattoo at Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
And that, for many people, is a bucket list experience. So it certainly is a great reason to choose this itinerary. There's so many ways that we share and open up Europe to our guests with our focus on Northern Europe, with both Rotterdam and New Statendam being based in Rotterdam in 2025. As we talked about Mediterranean voyages, we also have some exceptional transatlantic voyages. But one of the ways that guests can see more than they ever anticipated was doing what we call collector voyages. Kristen, what is your spin on the beauty of a collector voyage?
It's a lot of times when people can't decide on what they want to do. They want to do so many things and they do have the time to do it. Instead of choosing one or the other, why not do both? Why not do 3 back to back to back? So it's not only a great, value. If you're going all the way over there, why not spend more time? Why not see these places that you've always dreamed of? If not now, when? If we haven't learned anything from the past few years.
That is so true. That is so true. I am going to, one last plug. We have leaned really hard into Norway. We have a lot of both 7 and 14-day sailings to Norway out of Rotterdam. And look at this incredible scenery that you can experience. We think that one of the most underrated regions to sail into is Norway and the fjords in Norway. So it is becoming a staple in Holland America Line's annual program up in Europe. So moving on now, something new that we've introduced recently, Kristen, are legendary voyages. What are the basics of what are the key features of legendary voyages?
When you think of legendary, it's like ultimate, right? It's the ultimate places. It's those long voyages. It's kind of like the romantic era where you had, people doing the exploration for months and months of Europe and Egypt and those exotic places. So it's legendaries are going to be 25 days up to 56 days. For you to experience very far-flung destinations, and many of these destinations are actually going to be round-trip US.
Yeah, that's so incredible. Let's just highlight a couple of them real quickly. One that does sail round-trip from the US. I think this is a particular favorite of yours, Kristen.
Can I have the time off to take this next year, Rob?
It's negotiable, but I'm not sure it's going to happen anytime soon.
Oh gosh, when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is the perfect timing. You're going to be in Japan for the autumn foliage, going to Iwo Jima and Naha and Okinawa to see really historical aspects of the World War II, also Nagasaki, Hiroshima, overnight in Osaka. You can quaterary all night long, and that's where they have this term where you can eat until you die.
Oh.
And then, of course, in Tokyo as well. This is just an intense aspect of Japan, but also Kodiak Island, Dutch Harbor for any of the Deadliest Catch fans. That's actually where a lot of the fleet is based out of. And then ending in tropical and wonderful Hawaii, which I think you were just there recently, weren't you?
I was. I was able to visit Hawaii, and since we're on the topic, I was in Maui, so Maui needs visitors. I'm here to share Holland America Line, but I think we should all get behind the island family of Maui and support them. Moving on, Kristen, I'm going to talk real quickly about this really nifty itinerary that we have, which is round trip Singapore. That's also a legendary voyage, and it's 28-day coral triangle. So it takes in the best of Indonesia with Bali, over the northern portion of Australia, the Great Barrier Reef, and then back around New Guinea to the Philippines. What an incredible itinerary we have here. And it's one of those that, for those that think they've seen the world, this is one that they probably can say they haven't done. So hoping we can attract and share this with some guests in that category.
Even Dili, Brunei, I haven't actually been there before.
And then, Both Greenland and Iceland have been hot for the past few years, and we've always been sailing. But I want to make sure that everyone is familiar with this sailing, which is round trip Rotterdam, but it brings in the best of the North Cape, Greenland, Iceland, and look at that. You visit Greenland twice along this, different parts of it. So what an incredible itinerary. Then coming back through Scotland and London, really an incredible legendary voyage. But our time is getting close to having to wrap up. So Kristen, I don't want to fail to talk about something that is near and dear to your heart, because you were a crew member on board Holland America Line and did operate and work with our guests on our Grand World Voyages in prior years. Isn't that accurate?
Yes, I was very fortunate enough to actually sail on 8 grand voyages, 5 of them the world voyages. So that is a round trip from Fort Lauderdale. Very fortunate to have that opportunity to sail. And it is just one of those, it's not only a bucket list, it's a life-changing environment that you have there. People become travelers on these. You know, we do get some first-time cruisers, but most of them have traveled bits and bobs, but this really changes them. It opens their eyes to the good and the bad of all of our world and the wonderful natural wonders that it has there. So we do have one, though, that again, I would love time off for, and it's the 133-day grand voyage pole to pole. I saw this and my mouth watered. I could not believe it. I've never seen anything like this before. I mean, I was just thinking about the packing for this one, how fun that's going to be for them. But pretty much it touches every aspect of the Atlantic and parts of the Pacific too. I mean, can you imagine? And you know, one great thing I also want to mention, Rob, we have Starlink now, so you're not going to have to worry about being, you know, in far off places and not being able to connect to the internet.
Yep, every single Holland America Line ship will have Starlink satellite connectivity for wireless access by the end of this year. So that is certainly true. But this truly is a, you know, masterful itinerary that was put together by our deployment team. When you think about going circumnavigation of South America over to Europe, all the way up to the North Cape, and again, Iceland and Greenland, but then coming back across the Canadian Maritimes, really an incredible one. And this is one that is just selling exceptionally well. Of course, we have also our traditional Grand World Voyage that circumnavigates in a westerly direction, round trip Fort Lauderdale for 124 days. Taking in the best of a southerly route with South Africa before it heads up through the Mediterranean and back to Fort Lauderdale. These always are, there's two camps for, if I'm not mistaken, Kristen. There are the annual, we sail every year, we'll take the same stateroom group that sails, and then there are what I call the unassuming traveler that every advisor should be looking out for. And those are sort of the sleeper people you would never expect to take a world cruise. But when prompted or shown the opportunity, it's exactly what they want, because in many respects, we're bringing the world to them. They get on a Holland America Line ship for a Grand World Voyage. It feels like home. They don't have all the hassle of going in and out of all these countries by air and land transport. We bring the world to them. Does that feel accurate?
It does, and it is like a potato chip. You know, once you experience one of these cruises, your client is going to want to go back again and again. It's very hard to go from a Grand World Voyage back to a 7-day Caribbean. So you're most likely to have a long voyage cruiser for life as your client.
So true. Now, we put out a lot of, we're going to wrap up here by sharing with our advisor friends some of the booking opportunities and promotions we have going on. So for those guests that are past Holland America Line mariners, and if they're looking at sailings from the fall of 2024 into 2025, which is most of the product that we reviewed here, What have we got going for them, Kristen?
So we love to shower our mariners with bonuses. So whenever we do put out a new product, for example, we just put out a Canada New England for 2025. If any, you should check your database, look for those mariners, and send that information out to them as soon as possible. So when they book within those 90 days of us offering that new product, they're going to be able to get up to $400, $200 per person on that cruise. And that's going to be in combination with a lot of the other promotions that we may have out in the public at that time as well.
And of course, we also have our early booking bonus, our Have It All, which is for all guests, again, for those same sailings going from the September of 2024 into 2025. And the Have It All bonus combines the best of our Have It All inclusive package with enhanced beverage package, premium Wi-Fi, and those prepaid crew appreciation, which is essentially gratuities. And then if it's a sailing from now until that fall of September, we do have our Explore with More promotion going on. So we just want to encourage and thank our advisor friends for thinking about Holland America Line. And with all our gratitude, we want to say thank you. Kristen, aren't we lucky to be working with such a talented group of travel professionals?
It is so incredible, and the perseverance and dedication that you show to not only your agencies, but your travelers and your guests is so inspiring. And we thank you so much, and really are grateful that you're working with Holland America Line.
We certainly are. And that, I believe, brings us to a close for this webinar. We may have time for a question or two, but we'll see if our moderator believes that we have that time.
Thank you guys so much for a great presentation. I do want to let you know that our attendees are putting a lot of questions in here, so they are very interested in the information that you guys are giving out. What a great presentation you all have put together. We do have a couple minutes here just for some quick questions. A lot of our attendees are asking, is there a website or a dashboard that they can go to so that they can download any brochures or resources that are available to them, so that when they are speaking with their clients, they can pull up the information readily available for them?
Yeah, Kristen, do you want to talk about our OneSource site?
Absolutely. So everything that you just mentioned is going to actually be in our onesource.com. So you can be able to go to OneSource, where you'll also find some of our sister brands in there. You'll be able to go and see the promotions. You'll be able to order brochures. You'll also be able to sign up for our partnership newsletter, which is really important. So that partnership newsletter is going to give you all the updated information, going to give you some pre-information or some pre-news that's going to be coming out, so that you'll be prepared with those offers and with that information for your clients. So yeah, you go to onesource.com. You'll be able to access everything and anything in concerns with Holland America.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that information. I know that's going to be super helpful for all of our travel agents here with us today. Last question. I know that you all spoke about pickleball, which is the new up and coming sport. And so it's great to know that that's going to be on board. We did have a few questions at the top, and unfortunately, this will be our last question for today's presentation, but don't worry. I am going to get these questions over to Kristen and Rob so that they'll be able to contact you all directly to answer any further questions that we couldn't get to today. But back to pickleball, they're asking if there's a group who's interested in hosting a pickleball specific event, or are there events on board that clients can get involved with? How would they do that exactly?
Sure. We will help connect guests on board with other pickleball enthusiasts. And if there is a pickleball organization that would like to put a group cruise together, we would welcome that. With advanced planning, we can make sure that they have the court time that they'd like, as well as giving us the that also will allow us to accommodate other guests that want to experience the courts on the same sailing. But yes, on both of those points.
Awesome. I know people are super excited about that sport, and the opportunity to play on board, I think, is a very unique and very fun experience to have. So again, Rob and Kristen, thank you for a very informative and well put together presentation. The attendees are raving about all the information you presented to them, and I will be sure to get all these questions over to you so that you can continue the conversation about Holland America Line and how they can continue to sell these cruises to their clients. Thank you again, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you. We're so appreciative for the opportunity, and we wish everyone a great fall.
All right,
Thank
take
you.
care. We'll see you all next time.
Happy Thursday.